See this Kittl Flow template with all the different text effects? Well, I can go in here and change just the word at the very beginning of this flow. I can then highlight all of the smartboards, hit generate again, and just a few seconds later, we now have those text effects applied to the new word for us. Or take a look at this template right here, which I built to essentially take an existing design and apply different popular t-shirt styles to it. Well, in this case, once again, if we change out the beginning of the flow to a completely different design and then generate all of these smartboards again, then we get a fantastic new set of designs right here that are all based on the original, but have a completely different feel and aesthetic. And that was just a preview of a small fraction of what you can do with Kittl Flows. And in this video, I'll show you, first of all, how to find the Kittl Flow templates. I'll show you how to use them effectively and how to set up your own. I'll show you a few example workflows for print on demand. And then at the end of the video, I'll also give you my template that I built for restyling your designs into popular t-shirt design styles. So first of all, let me show you where to find the Kittl Flow templates, because those are the easiest way to get started using this new feature without needing to understand all of the basics and the ins and outs of how to set these up yourself. And for that, you need to go to the templates section and then just scroll down a little bit where you see Kittl Flows right here. So you've already got some of the popular ones showing up at the start. You can kind of flick through this, or you could click on show all in the top right corner, and that will open them up in full scale right here. And there's a few that I would recommend you check out if you're into print on demand and t-shirt design. For example, this one right here, Shirt Maker, is quite decent. The one with the chrome effects as well might help you out with some certain styles. This t-shirt graphic bundle is the one that I showed you at the beginning with the word drip, and there is probably a bunch more right here, but I haven't opened up every single one of them to check them out. Those are just ones that I've tested and found useful for POD. So let's actually go ahead and open up this Shirt Maker template right here. I'll click use template, and that way we'll get a bunch of examples of not just how to use these flows, but also how they work in general. Like, what do all of these things mean? Basically, we have input boards on the left hand side. These are actual text layers that are made with Kittl. So we've got this right here that we could move around. You could change the text of this, and we've got some vector files at the top, very simple illustrations, and those then get turned into smart boards. Or essentially the way they started off is someone clicked smartboard right here, and then they got a blank canvas, and the way they got to the actual design at the end is describing their edits to the original artboard. So these input graphics and input text that got adjusted with a prompt, and the reference is attached right here. If we look into this smartboard, there is quite a descriptive prompt of what to do. But the good thing is, now that all of these smartboards are already there, the prompts are saved and they can be reused easily. So you can open this up, you can just change the text right here, very easy by editing it, and then you can click on the smartboard that already has the prompt set up for you. You can click generate again, and then it will refresh this design right here. You can even click duplicate if you want to preserve the original, and this is going to get quite messy because it's a big template right here. We'd have to move it probably somewhere towards the end. There we go. You could even duplicate and then kind of preserve multiple designs that way. Now, to go back to the original design, if we look at the text right here, this says the Mighty Chill Snack Squad. This says the Mighty Summer Squad. So the designs are very, very similar aesthetically. In this case, they just changed it with a simple prompt to create another design based on the style and layout with a theme summer. So again, that's a good example of how to use an existing design or a reference design and have it recreated multiple ways. And again, you can use this smartboard right here and add a lot more smartboards to it. So let's click on this again right here, and again, there we go. Now we have 3 additional artboards. We could copy this prompt and essentially just give it different themes. So we could say autumn for this one. We could then hit generate down here, click on the next smartboard, give this the theme of winter, hit generate, and for the last one, let's do something completely different. Let's do St. Patrick's Day. Why not? Hit generate on that as well. And whilst those are running right here, you do get a little countdown on the right hand side of how much time is left. So it does take a little bit of time, but the good thing is you can run multiple at once. Another thing to note is you have some settings right here. So you can change the aspect ratio. You can also affect the quality. So high quality is the most accurate one. I'll show you comparison later on in the video as well between what do high quality results look like and what do low quality results look like with the exact same prompts and reference images. So stay tuned for that, because I want to save you credits, and there will be some styles and some certain like designs and complexities of designs where the low setting is going to be good enough. So then you also have the transparent background setting right here, which you can enable. I will warn you though, based on my testing, it's not always perfect. In some cases it does a good job, but sometimes it does leave a bit of the background in there. So there is another way or another workaround though that I'll show you after. So those are the settings essentially that you have right here on the right that are important. Oh, there is another one, refine prompt. So if you're not very good at prompting and you look at something like this, you see a very, very long detailed prompt. You don't have to be able to write this all yourself. You can start off with a very, very simple input and then click refine prompt, and that rewrites it, adds a lot of detail to it. It's kind of like a magic prompt feature within Kittl. And meanwhile, these have generated right here. So you can see now we have a winter, St. Patrick's Day, and an autumn version. It changed the colors automatically, it changed the graphics and the text as well, of course. So just a quick example of how to use one row of all of these templates right here for Kittl flows. There's one with different destinations as well. So we have some very simple input text right here. Anyone can set that up easily within Kittl. And then these smart boards change those into very, very nice looking location based designs. I also really love this example right here where we've got kind of just the layout and a bit of text at the bottom, which then gets turned into these stamp card designs. This is something that's quite difficult to prompt. If you want a design like this, just out of a simple prompt that you throw into Ideogram or ChatGPT, it's quite hard. But if you give it this kind of layout right here with Kittl, then that actually becomes a lot easier, as you can see, to have this very structured set of stamps. So to show you a quick example of how to set up your own Kittl Flow template, if you don't want to start off with one of the existing templates, here is a very basic design that I just put together. It took me like 1 minute. So this is just the default text in Kittl, and then this graphic right here I found by going to images, Kittl AI images, and typing in goose. And now we've got a design that looks okay, but not very good, to be honest. And I'm sure a lot of you found yourself in that place where you're like, how can I improve this? How can I make changes? Or just easily change the style without having to be a Photoshop expert. Well, now if you just click on Smart Board right here, you can describe your edits, and it could be all sorts of things. It could be changing the phrase. It could be, well, actually changing the phrase would be easier if you do it now manually, but it could be changing the style. It could be improving the design. So that's something you could do as well. Say improve this t-shirt design. And if that's a bit too vague for you, you can once again click refine prompt, and it will flesh that prompt out a bit, and then you can hit generate and wait for this to load. Then I'll go back to the original artboard and hit smart board again. And let's actually add a few right here, because I want to have multiple prompts running. And the good thing is you keep this, you save these smart boards and you have them set up for future use. Whenever you have a new design, you already have all of these ready to quickly generate without having to prompt anything. So essentially you're making yourself save time in the future by adding things like change this to a floral t-shirt design. And I'm going to test it with this very basic prompt right here, then also go below and paste the same one, but refine it in this case, just so we see a comparison of what does a very basic prompt do and what does a more detailed prompt do. If we go at the bottom right here, maybe we could also say, remake this in a Christmas theme. Maybe I should spell that correctly. And then we'll just hit refine right there. I'll actually add t-shirt design right here as well, because I don't want it to just create any Christmas themed design. And then we'll click generate on that as well. So you could literally set up a ton of smart boards for different holidays. That way you can essentially scale out your designs to the holiday seasons very, very easily moving forward. And the first few you've already generated. So we've got God's Silliest Goose right here. So let's improve this by adding some color. I, to be honest, don't think that's that much of an improvement, but I had something else in mind. I should have described that better. I should have said improve this design by adding more intricate detail, more interesting font and layout. And now I'll hit generate on that and see if it does a better job. So it's always a bit of refinement and testing to see how to properly prompt right here. But we've also got this version. This is change this to a floral t-shirt design, which I think looks pretty nice. It's still very simple like the original, and it has a similar layout, but this looks a lot nicer already just with the very, very simple prompt. This is the magic prompt or the enhanced refined prompt essentially, and that also looks pretty good. A bit more detailed than this right here. This is still simple, very simple, whereas this has more detail in the illustration. But both of these look awesome and a lot better than that rubbish design that I put together in 1 minute. Now here's the Christmas themed one, and this did something that I kind of expected. It didn't really turn it into a t-shirt design, but what you can do is add solid black background at the end of this and it should do a better job. So let's just refresh this and see how it does right there. Last smartboard is still generating, and you can, by the way, also carry on from an existing design. So if you like this right here, but you want to maybe do a different prompt and use this as a reference, you could say, remake this design for a raccoon instead. Just see what it does with that command. You could also perhaps right here try remake this with the goose holding a croissant. Why not? And there we go. Now we have this being refreshed right here on a black background. That's going to be a lot easier to remove. And this looks like a pretty funny Christmas design to me. Bottom, we now have improved this t-shirt design by adding more intricate detail and a more interesting font and layout, which it definitely did. And I think that looks better than what we had right here originally. So it has definitely improved upon that early design version that I had. And it has added some detail right here, as well as I think the font looks a lot better. And there we are. The croissant version has generated, is very similar to this reference image. Text is still the same. The layout and the style is just the object that it's holding. That's changed to a croissant. Maybe I'll also try changing just the style right here to fit light shirt. So remake this for a solid white background color. That's probably another use case that's going to be handy if you have designs that work on dark shirts but you want them to be remade for lighter shirt colors. In that case, that kind of prompt could help you out. We see how that does. And meanwhile, the God's Silliest Raccoon has finished generating. Looks pretty much the same as the original, except that it's adjusted the phrase and the graphic right here to fit a very simple prompt. And I know these designs work because of the silly goose trend, so I don't know if a silly raccoon design would necessarily work, but it's just an example to show you how easy it is to make these kind of changes. And you can now again add another smartboard. You can move it around to kind of tidy things up and then use the same prompt up here to do this for another animal, for example. And there we go. The Christmas design is also refreshed to fit a light background, which actually looks kind of better, I think, at least in my opinion. So there you go. That's a lot of examples of how to quickly build out your own kind of flow template right here. And I just started with this very, very simple, terrible design and see how quickly we got all of these nice iterations right here. So you can do a ton with this at a very quick pace, and you could even go further and, for example, tell it to now create a mock-up for this. If you need mock-ups for your store or as examples, that's another way to use this that I saw on some of the Kittl Flow templates, is once you're done with the design, you have another smartboard at the end that helps you generate a mock-up for them. So to give you some examples of what the quality setting right here does to your results, I've essentially taken this shirt maker template and split all of these up into two different rows, one being generated with 2 credits and the other being generated with 6 credits. And by the way, the reason that I think that this is using ChatGPT 4.0 is, well, first of all, because of the results look a lot like it, but also if we go into Kittl AI right here and start generating a design from scratch, we now have the option of using ChatGPT Image 1 HD, which costs 6 credits, and the default version right here, Image 1, costs 2 credits. There's none other of these tools that cost 6, and over here we have 6 credits for high quality. So that's just a quick explanation of why I think that this is ChatGPT being built into or merging essentially with Kittl in this Kittl Flows tool. And if we go to the beginning, once again, we have the top row that was using the low quality setting, bottom row using the high quality setting. And in this case, if we zoom in a bit, the mighty right here kind of got lost a little bit. That text is a bit messed up. Chill, snack, squad still looks fine. The graphics, if we compare them as well, they look okay for the most part. Slightly better at the bottom in my opinion, but you don't really see a massive difference other than the word mighty right here looking kind of misspelled. This one, the mighty summer crew, again, this kind of small word right here, small letters, I think the low quality version is going to struggle with. The graphics are pretty much fine for the most part. They are a bit different at the bottom, but here everything is spelled a lot more clearly and correctly. If we move on to the next one, here we have this kind of warped text effect. At the bottom, we have 6 credits or high quality setting. Everything pretty much seems to be spelled correctly, but at the top, out of office. Yeah, I think this on the left is still spelled pretty fine, although I prefer the way it looks at the bottom. I think this is a bit easier to read, whereas here we have a very strong warping effect going on. This one though, the last stage, it kind of messed up because it's meant to say no work today. If we look at the prompt right here, it also says copy no work today, but it just says no work today, no work to work.
Yep.
So it's kind of straying away if there's a lot of text, and in that case you might be better using the bottom version. Don't stop until you're proud. You're perfect as you are. I think these two are actually fine. They're both spelled correctly, so we have bigger text but not as much text in that case. Don't stop until you're proud down here with the high quality setting actually looks kind of worse. I think the top one right here turned out better. You're perfect as you are. This one also looks kind of worse. So I'm going for the 2 credits up here in this case. I think that worked out better. So it's not always as obvious. Welcome to Florida, the Sunshine State. That looks great. Welcome to Miami, Magic City. I think both of these are very decent results. Does the bottom look better? I think that's in this case, that's more of a subjective thing. I think both results or both models did a great job in this case. I think it's like the tiny details that look a little bit smudged if you use the low quality setting, but you can use a vectorizer or an upscaler after this and mitigate some of that. So moving on to these signs right here, we've got Alabama Hats Motel, always good time, Nevada Springs Motel, TV in rooms, all of that is spelled correctly, and I think both models in this case, or both settings, did a decent job. This at the top looks a little bit more simplistic with the low setting, and at the bottom we have some more frames and like dimension or depth going on, but besides that, not too much of a difference. So as you can see, sometimes using the low quality setting is absolutely fine. It's when there's kind of a lot of text right here or a lot of tiny details in the text where it kind of starts messing up a bit. Let's look at this one, Strawberry Farms. Again, at the top, the low quality setting. I think this word right here, Strawberry Farms, that kind of got messed up. Doesn't look as nice. The rest is fine. Papaya Grooves, yeah, mostly fine there. The bottom does look clean though. Especially the Strawberry Farms version turned out a lot better in this comparison. We've got the stamps as well, which I was quite curious about how they do on the low quality. And I think if you zoomed out, it's not really that bad, but then if you zoomed in, you do notice a lot of spelling mistakes. Again, small little details, and it's also more smudged. You can't really tell what the graphics actually are if you closely zoomed into them. So in this kind of complex design, I think you're going to have to use the high quality setting. Beaches, lemons, dinner dates. Okay, so in this case, if we zoomed out, not too much of a difference, to be honest. The cafes right here is kind of getting lost behind the Eiffel Tower, whereas here it's a lot cleaner, but for the most part, these two results are a bit more similar. In this case, with my favorite things, I can't really see too much of a difference. They look similar from afar, but okay, this cat looks very messed up.
It looks like grandma, the thing.
What the hell happened there? Okay, so maybe if you want very realistic graphics of animals or people, you should stick to the bottom version, but the rest of these, like this is fine, right? That doesn't really look too different to this version, which used the high quality setting. So hope this comparison helps you choose which one of the two to use. Sometimes you will have to use the high quality, but not always. Do save your credits if you can, if there's not as much detail, not as much text, and no cats that are kind of curled up like this. Now, as promised, I'm going to give you access to my template right here for restyling your t-shirt designs. It will be linked in the description. You just click on it, it will open up and you can use it in your own workflow. But let me explain a few things about this. So we have the input files over on the left. This is where you essentially want to go. You want to delete these designs and add your own to it. And then once you've added your own design, you can either zoom out and select all of these smart boards and then generate them all in bulk, like I showed you in the intro. Or if you're just looking for one specific style, like this retro one, for example, you zoom in, you click on that smartboard specifically and hit generate again. You can still change the settings or make adjustments to the prompt as well if you want to. And you can also select just a couple or 3 smartboards. So if we click on this one, let's say you also want the American flag one, then you just hold down Shift on your keyboard and then click on that smartboard that you want. And let's say this badge as well. Okay, Shift and click. And now we have 3 boards selected and we can generate them again, just to save some credits so you don't have to generate everything in bulk. You just do the ones that you want. Another tip, on the left, I've set these up to generate with a transparent background. If you prefer that, now again, I'll warn you, these are not perfect. For example, here in the beak, it kind of deleted something that I wouldn't have deleted, or with this vintage sunset, it's not really 100% perfect. But if you want to generate with transparent, use this input on the left right here and these smartboards. If you want to generate with a background, just use any of these on the right hand side because they all come with this unchecked, so you will get a background. I also added solid background color to all of these prompts, so you should hopefully get a background that's easier to isolate. And one more thing to note, which is important, is before you download these, you will want to either vectorize or upscale them because they're not high quality enough. These artboards are quite big in terms of their pixel size, but the graphics that are being generated are still just like 1,000 pixels or maybe maximum 2,000 pixels. They're not going to be just quite big enough for the print areas that we have on t-shirts. So for example, let me show you a quick tip with this design actually right here, this kind of retro one. What you can do is you click convert to image, and then you will see the options of removing background, vectorizing, or upscaling. In this case, removing background is irrelevant because it doesn't have a background, and I would actually vectorize this and just set it to one color because that should give you a pretty nice effect where you just have, well, it turns it into black right now, but I can pick the color right here, go to the color picker and click back on this brown, and there we go. Now we have just the one color illustration without a background color behind it. And we can now save this right here as a PNG file and upload it as is, or you can download it as a vector as well if you want to take it further in a vector editing tool, which actually you can now also do in Kittl. It has a lot of vector editing features like the pen tool right here, as well as different shapes that you can draw out and different functions like union, etc. if you're working with vector shapes. If you are new to Kittl or you just need a quick refresher of some of its most important features, then check out this video next, which is my complete beginner tutorial that teaches you everything you need to know in less than 7 minutes.